A robbery by a fake TV repairman. Stig of the Dump is helping to track him down. Here on BBC One at 5 to 6.
Indeed. How lovely. Hello, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Celebrity Ready Steady Cook. Tonight's star guests like doing things at high speed, but before we rev up for the Gourmet Grand Prix, let's welcome the chefs who'll be putting them through their paces. They are Tobin and Lesley Walters. Lovely to see you. Pretty good. How are you, Les? Goody good. How's the country these days?
It's all right. Yeah, it's
you
good.
liking it down there?
Getting their wellies on, going for long walks.
Oh, I can imagine.
Eating too much food.
Oh, I know. You're getting that kind of lifestyle, didn't you, darling? Eh?
Yeah.
Enjoying it, though.
Yeah, lovely.
He's a country boy already down there. Wow. What is he like? Anyway, our first guest tonight has been the voice of Formula One for an incredible 5 decades, and his high-speed commentaries mean he's never had any trouble keeping up with the fastest drivers in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the legendary Murray Walker! Great to see you. Wonderful to see you. And you brought a few goodies for us?
I have brought some absolutely fantastic goodies.
Yeah.
See them now?
Yeah, why not? Let's tip them out and get straight on with it. Ah, wonderful. That came out about 100 miles an hour, didn't it, eh? Oh, talk to us about this little lot then, Murray.
Now, Lesley, I have brought salmon because I am enormously fond of salmon. Garden peas go very well with salmon. Carrots go very well with salmon. But this is the Murray Walker challenge. Rice and an onion are impossible. Do your best.
Oh, and how much did you spend on that, Murray?
I spent £4 and 68 pence.
68?
Somebody owes me 32 pence.
Get it from him.
Yeah, I'll sort you out later. Nice bag, Les.
Nice bag.
Nice bag.
Let me see you smile when you say that.
Nice bag.
That's very good. And look at that lovely bit of salmon.
Yeah.
Lovely colour in there. Oh, I can't wait to get your teeth in there, eh?
I'm looking forward to seeing how you handle this.
Oh, dear.
Wow.
Now we're about to meet one of the bright young stars. Don't say anything yet, Murray. Don't say anything yet.
All right.
Our next guest was the youngest ever driver to score a point in Formula One. And now, at the tender age of 21, he's got the motor racing world at his feet. Please welcome the sensational Jenson Nice boy.
Very good, and you?
Yeah, good. Hey, do you dash around the kitchen at 100 miles an hour then?
I wish I did, but I'm absolutely useless in the kitchen.
Oh, no.
I've cooked a few pot noodles in my time when I was back at school, but that's about it.
Oh, dear. So it could be a bit of a rush
Yeah.
around for Tony.
Don't worry,
then.
I don't drive too well.
Do you really not? Let's have a look what you brought along then, gents. Fantastic. Oh, look at this. Now, very slim line.
I know we've got Taste the Difference chicken.
Yeah.
Which looks very nice. We've got rocket, which is always my favourite. Bit of chicken, bit of rocket is always nice, and pasta obviously because it's pretty much all I eat at race meetings.
Sure.
So it's
Keep the old weight off. Yeah, a bit of mozzarella there and tomatoes. And how much did you spend at the old shops then?
just under a £5.
Yeah.
3 pence actually.
Yeah,
To be precise.
very good, very good. Don't tell Murray you want it, mate, I'll tell you. Man, what does that say to you, Tony?
That just says...
Italiano.
no, it says fantastic things.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
That says to me, we're going to go like a rocket.
Yeah.
I say that.
Hey, Jenson, you're used to that, aren't you, mate? Eh?
Not past season, no.
Well, don't worry, things will improve, though, won't they? Eh?
Yeah,
Things are going to
definitely.
happen, mate.
No,
Things
it's
are going to
looking
happen. You're just brilliant and love watching. You've got that real passion for it. Anyway, you're going to have a passion for cooking today. Have a think with Tony, and I'll
Cheers.
be back. Great. Now, Les, what are you going to do for lovely Murray here?
Well,
on, tell me.
I think with the onion, we're going to do one of my favourite things, which is spicy onion barges.
That's good. That's
Yeah? Are
Indian
you-
food.
You like
Terrific.
Indian food?
Adore it.
Okay, well, we'll continue on that way, I think. The rice, I'm going to do something that I had when I was in Thailand, when I had the worst hangover of my life. And too much Thai beer.
Oh, we
and
all
I,
like that, don't
And
we?
I had this rice dish with eggs, which completely cured me. I think it had so much chilli in it. But I'm going to do this sort of coriander egg rice idea.
Yeah.
Indian,
Thai. And then this, we're going to do a sort of, I think, lime, cardamom sort of style fish broth.
Beautiful.
I think.
And what about the peas and carrots?
The peas, I think I'll put in the broth.
Going to cook those.
And the carrots, I think we might put into, I mean, maybe a yoghurt writer, because these onion barges are going to be hot, baby.
Right.
Oh, that's the only way you like it, isn't it, Murray? Hey? And she's gorgeous. I see the way you're looking in her eyes. What is it like? I'll be back. He's having a fine old time over there, Jay. Now, Tony, what are you going to do for Jenson?
We're going Mediterranean. Okay, it screams it. We're going to take the smaller breast, stuff it with a bit of the mozzarella,
Yeah.
and get that baking off in the oven. The other breast we're going to marinate, a bit of garlic, maybe some herbs, some balsamic vinegar, because Jenson's a big fan, and so am I. In fact, there's a wool shortage because I'm using far too much. We're going to cook the linguine. We're going to make a rocket pesto.
Yeah.
Right, instead of using basil, we're going to make it with rockets, so nice and peppery.
Beautiful.
Put
nice
that through,
peppery
and then
flavour.
use some of that with the chickens. We're going to roast off the tomatoes, and with the mozzarella that's left, we're going to try and kind of pan fry it, get some nice colour on it before it goes all gooey. It's
Lovely.
a bit tricky, but I'm sure we can pull it off.
Yeah, I'm sure we
Lovely.
can.
That sounds delicious. What do you think, Jay?
I think it sounds great.
Yeah? Okay, what do I call you for short? I keep saying Jay, Jen, what?
JB.
JB. Yeah, what do you think, JB?
Chocky. Chocky's a good
That's
one
really
as
cool,
well.
eh? Chocky.
Yeah.
No, don't get
Chocky
too
buns.
familiar. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get them started. They've got 20 minutes when I say these words. Ready, steady, cook.
Oh, the music!
Oh, yeah. I've heard that before.
It's like winding this up, isn't it, eh?
Brilliant. What a great piece of music.
Come on, come on.
This bit. So, right,
Wonderful. Great. Can you manage there?
Right, I'm ready. I'm ready.
My darling, open up all of those
Wonderful.
packets for me.
Let me get your board up there for you, Murray. That might help a little bit. Okay. And do you want them in a
Does she
bowl,
want-
Leslie?
You want them tipped out?
Peas and stuff in the bowl?
No, they can just stay in the packets, actually. Just
Okay.
get them open.
All right. Lovely.
Yeah.
Now, what are we starting off with first?
We're going
here?
to
Is that
start
the
off with
party?
this. We're going to start off with this rice dish, actually, because
Yeah.
I think this is one of the
Good.
loveliest
Yeah, you
ways of cooking
Mm-hmm.
just long grain rice.
Family?
Yes, please, my darling. Because, you know, everybody goes on about risotto rice and wild rice, you know, and poor old long rice is kind of forgotten, isn't it, a bit?
Yeah.
And it
That's what
is
you mean.
fantastic, cooked like this.
I think a lot of people have it in the cupboard, so it's quite interesting. So, you know, ways of using it, because you do compromise a little bit, don't you? You haven't got one, use another thing.
Yeah, and this is a really, I'm going to bake this in the oven, which will give it the most wonderful flavour, but you need to start it off in a saucepan.
Great, okay.
And you need to get, if we put in some grated, now you've done a cordon bleu course, haven't you, Murray?
Yes, I
Right.
Have you really, Murray? Tell us about that.
when I was single,
That's the way to go, man.
I decided that if I got to eat what I cooked and cooked what I ate, I better go to cookery school. And I found Good Housekeeping magazine, and I said, can you recommend a good cookery school? Where will the lady be going, they said.
Oh, I see.
So I said, I will be going in the evening. So
And how long ago was this then, Murray? Because, you know,
Oh,
today it's kind of just normally accepted,
I've
isn't it?
been married for 41 years, and it was about 44 years ago.
Wow.
And I got to lemon meringue pie standard,
Lemon meringue pie.
and then I got married, and I haven't touched anything since.
Oh, no, shame on you. Just as you got good, too. Is your wife a brilliant cook?
Yeah, she's very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Very good. He's polite, isn't he? He's very polite. Now, what can we get Murray to do
Murray,
here?
come here. How are you at grinding? Come here.
How was that again?
Grind, baby, grind. Okay, we've got some cardamom pods here.
Yeah.
And we're just going to add those to the orange, a little bit of chilli, and then a touch of the rice, some hot stock.
She said grinding, not banging.
How do you
That's it,
That's
you're
it.
doing
Now,
good
here we are.
job.
Now, if I take those little husks off for you, here we are. See these little husks?
Yeah.
They kind of come off. You can remove those. Do you want the husk left on, Les?
Oh,
or do-
yes, I like it husky.
Oh, just leave
Bring
it in
it
there,
over.
yeah. That's it. Just keep cutting those up.
Okay,
All right, now
so-
you're talking to me about this again.
Okay,
Sorry,
so
Leslie.
we're just frying the rice off now. Okay, Murray, over here. over here. No, bring the cardamom pods with you, lovely. Okay, so we're just going to
The husks
sprinkle
are
those
still
in.
there.
That's all right, the husks will be great. In they go.
Lovely.
Good stuff.
3 minutes gone already.
And we're now going to add some hot stock. So,
right,
Murray,
so just stock on top of that.
and then straight in the oven.
Stock in the oven. Lovely, Lesley. All right,
How am I
nice little
doing?
tip. How's it going, Tone?
It's going all right, mate.
Yeah.
What I've done, if I just tell you quickly, apart from put all the mozzarella water everywhere, is took the fillet off one of the chicken breasts, took the skin off,
Yeah.
kind of put my knife halfway down,
Yeah.
cut it either side, opened it out, put some mozzarella and a little bit of rocket salt and pepper, folded it back up, wrapped it in some all-purpose cling film so you
Yeah.
can cook with it, and some foil, and I've got it, just get it heating up there, so it starts to cook, and then that's
And
whacked
then in the oven. What's the idea of heating it up first? Just to get everything hot and
so it's cooked in time.
speed up the cooking.
Obviously, at home,
Fabulous,
if you've
speed
got
up
more
the cooking.
time, then that's cool.
Okay, then. And what's JB doing here?
He's grating me some zest for
Yeah.
our rocket pesto.
Okay.
I'm
Fantastic.
just drying out that
Beautiful.
mozzarella because I want to fry it, so I want
Yeah.
to get rid of all that water, keep it nice and
Beautiful.
dry.
Lovely. So, how did you get started then? There's loads of kids out there thinking, how do I get started in motor racing? How did it all begin for you?
When I was 8 years old, actually, I started go-karting. I was go-kart for Christmas, which is obviously a nice surprise. And being a young kid and, you know, quite excitable, I wanted to go in it straight away. So
There's actually an engine, so it was quite quick.
yeah,
You were
it's
doing,
got
wow.
60 cc's, and so I thought I'd take it down the road. And
Yeah.
in the pub car park, little did I know how much time I would spend in the pub
Yeah.
in the future.
Yeah.
But no, it's always something that I've wanted to do when I was younger anyway, and you know, it started from there really.
Fantastic. And what about the passion then? How did that develop? Was it someone in the family, or
Yeah,
was
the
it
old
kind of-
man used to race.
Did he
That's my
really?
dad. Yeah, he used to race in rallycross. So it's like
Yeah.
rallying, but you race other guys. And you know, he's always been into racing and Formula One and everything. And Murray is actually one of his heroes. My
Really?
father's, yeah. So.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, he used to talk about him quite fondly to you and say, oh, that's the boy, that's the man. Yeah?
Yeah, he's always loved him, and I think it was a bit of a shock when I started actually racing Formula One. Not me being in Formula One, but meeting guys like Murray and Michael Schumacher and things like that. So it's good that he's enjoying himself.
Yeah.
It's good.
And are you impressed with all your competitors out there at the moment?
Yeah, I mean it's a difficult formula to be in, and in my second year now, I mean it wasn't the best year I've ever had, but you know,
The
it's
second
good.
year's the third year after that. Now,
Yeah,
isn't
the
it?
second year's
It's
always the
gonna
most
build, I
difficult.
know, but you're 21, man. You
Yeah.
know, the world's your oyster. You're just going to get out there and do it.
I know, but yeah, it's looking good for the future.
Yeah, we're looking forward to seeing you. Hey, and
Cheers.
we all love Murray, I've got to say that to you. Now, you put the balsamic in there already. This is a bit of a tip for you here,
Yeah, it's
and
great.
JB.
I'm making a syrup, so
Yeah.
I'm going to reduce that right down so it thickens up, and that's one of our sauces. The other sauce is going to be the rocket pesto, which I'll
Now,
make
tell
now.
me, people can actually go out and buy quite thick balsamic, obviously a lot more expensive.
Yeah.
So do you suggest that, or do you suggest buying something a little bit cheaper
Don't want to spend the
and
money.
reducing it down?
You don't want to spend the money, Ains. Buy a less expensive one, put it in the pan, a little bit of sugar to sweeten it because it'll be a little bit harsh, maybe a slice of garlic,
Yeah.
piece of basil.
Yeah.
Vanilla is nice.
Yeah.
Put a vanilla in there because it's aged like a wine, like a good red wine. They
I see
age
what you
it.
mean.
So
Lovely.
you get all those flavours that's coming off the barrel.
Yeah.
And you've heard that Jilly, what's her face say, you know, whoosh, you know, a little bit of vanilla and blackcurrant, you know, a bit of ribena in there.
Whoosh,
Whoosh, absolutely. So if you think of all those flavours that
Yeah.
she talks about that it gets from the oak barrels,
Yeah.
if you had a little bit of those in there,
Yeah.
then we've, how long we got left?
Lovely. I'll take about
What am I
13
doing
minutes.
Little tip on opening pasta,
Yeah.
you hold it out and go,
Oh, lovely. That's a good tip. That was a lovely tip. I'll come and see you. Okay, let's move on now. Okay, Les, you heard that. About 12 and a half minutes. Time is
blimey,
moving on.
right.
Now, what happened to that salmon?
Right, now,
You've got it
Murray's
over
just
here.
sprinkled
Murray's been
over
doing
some
that.
lime and some garlic. Do you want to crush some garlic for me
Here
over
we
there?
are, Murray.
My
There we are.
garlic is
One
there.
bit of garlic here. Let's open that up for you.
Lovely, lovely, lovely.
Okay, 1 clove of garlic. There you go, mate. Actually, do you want it in the garlic crusher there, Les?
Yeah, that's
Yeah, here we
fine.
are.
That's
I
fine.
don't,
Hey, Murray's
Yeah, pop it in there.
in there.
Murray,
That's
did you
it.
put
I
some
can do the
lime
other
juice
bit.
over there?
Okay, now give it a good squeeze.
Where? Anywhere?
Hey, do you want that in the salmon?
I want it in the salmon, actually.
That's
yeah.
it. Wonderful.
In the salmon.
How's
That's
that?
where we
Oh.
want it.
Yeah, and see it come out there.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Just keep squeezing it. That's it, and just wipe that off. Now, Murray, I was talking to JB down there. He said he's got a passion from his father. And that's where it started.
I
for
used
you
to
too.
commentate on his dad. You know that?
Really? How many years?
His dad used to carry on. Carry on. No eavesdropping. His dad used to race a VW Beetle
Yeah.
at Lytton, Rallycross, and I used to talk about him. And now I'm talking about the son, and they're both very, very good. He is going to be world champion one day.
Is he? You feel that?
Yeah,
Oh,
I do.
fantastic.
I
That's
do.
a real compliment.
Yeah.
That is a real compliment, isn't it? Starting so young.
Yeah.
But I was saying that his father was very inspirational in sort of getting him started.
Yeah.
The same for you in commentating and everything.
I had a fantastic dad, Ainsley. He raced motorcycles. He raced them at the top level. He won the TT in the Isle of Man. He won all the top continental Grand Prix. And he brought me on into motorcycle race. Gave me a motorbike when I was about 10 years old, and I liked to take it to pieces and ride it up and down a private road that we lived in.
So break it all down and build it back up again. Now, let's talk about your sort of commentating. Lots of interesting things must have happened in the commentating room over the years.
Oh, just a few. I mean, I was in the commentary box for 13 years with James Hunt, who was a very, very unusual character, to put it mildly. The first time I ever commentated with James, he arrived at the box at Monaco with his leg in a plaster cast from the ankle up to the crutch. Sat down with a bottle of rosé in his hand, put the plaster cast in my lap, and away we went.
That was the beginning of a wonderful relationship.
13 years it lasted.
Oh, it was fantastic. We remember it. It's just legendary. All those lovely comments. No, yes, Murray's absolutely right. You know, I remember Rory Bremner, all these people. Oh, absolutely fantastic. Now, moving back to the food, and we'll talk again, no doubt.
Right.
Now, you've literally spiced this up. Just tell us quickly what type of spices
We put in
in there.
paprika, and lime juice, a little bit of lime
Garlic.
zest as well, and garlic, and a bit of oil. And we'll just sort of toss
terrific
that
already.
It's fantastic. And what about cooking, Les? 2 minutes,
Well, I
2,
haven't
3
even
minutes?
I'd say probably, about 3 to 4 minutes. They're quite nice, thick pieces.
And when you think of fish, do you think it should be cooked for a lot longer than that?
I'm pretty easy as long as it's well cooked.
All right then. All right then. Okay, you come halfway now. That's it, guys.
Right,
Time
let's
is
just
moving
see
on.
how this all
And what have we got in there, Les?
It does
This is the
rise.
onion
Not
bhaji.
quite, not quite ready yet. In here, Ainsley, we've got curry powder,
Yeah.
still freezing flour. You should really use chickpea flour, a couple of eggs, and about 100 mils of water.
Right.
They're whipped up.
Beautiful. And the lovely smell that's coming out of there, Les. That's beautiful.
Good. Okay.
Fantastic. Okay,
All right.
I'll come back and see you. Well done. Things are buzzing here now. And over this side. Oh, dear, I've been sliding here. Oh, that's it. A bit of chicken skin, ladies and gentlemen. Ugh. There we go. It gets everywhere, doesn't it? Hey, lovely. And you wipe down that board, Tone? With that raw chicken on it?
Yeah.
Beautiful. Very important. We try and encourage everybody to, you know, wipe down the boards and everything when you're dealing with raw meat, because it can be a bit lethal and stuff like that. Look at his look. Oh, okay. And you've been... Oh, very good, Tone. That's it. We like when they're good, don't we?
This is great. It's just like
I
a
know,
local restaurant.
it really is moving along here. Now, a lot of people don't realise that when you get in that car... Yeah, all right, Tone. All right, we'll try and camouflage it. When you get in that car and you're, driving around at 200-odd miles an hour, you lose a lot of weight, don't you?
Yeah.
How much are we talking about here?
It's about 2.5 kilos of liquid. It's an hour and a half race, so it's quite a lot.
Yeah. And do you have to go through special training methods, or do you have to drink special vitamin juices when you
Well,
finish
obviously we do a lot of physical training. So that, that's what it gets over. It's about 3 or 4 hours a day normally.
Really?
On a testing schedule, it's about 4 or 5 days a week. So it's pretty hardcore, and
Yeah. A lot of people just think you just jump in the car and you go for
that's
it.
what I thought.
Yeah, you really?
Yeah.
It's
not that easy, yeah.
And what type of muscles are you talking about building up here? Is it your kind of wrist things? Because it's a tight little steering wheel, or is it your... Oh, stop it! Oh, these audience, isn't they horrible, ladies and gentlemen?
Terrible.
Or is it your neck muscles?
Well, you've got your forearms, and you've also got your neck.
Yeah.
Neck's the big thing. Because obviously the G-force in the car, I mean,
And
if
how-
you can't, you keep your neck
And how
up.
do you build that up? 8 minutes to go, by the way,
Right.
guys. What do you have to do to build up those muscles?
Well, obviously a lot of it comes from driving anyway, but it's
Yeah.
also from, you get your physio to push against your head and stuff like that, and you also put weights on a helmet and stuff like that. But it's pretty hardcore, but it's really strange because my neck looks quite big compared to the rest of me.
Yeah.
It makes you look a bit of a funny
Bit
sort of
strange,
guy. Yeah,
a bit
bit
distorted,
strange,
yeah.
but I mean,
And what about switching off? How do you know you've been... There you are, Formula 1, driving mad, everybody knows you around the world. What do you do to switch off? What do you... Just get away from it all?
chill out at home really. That's the best thing with family and friends. That's normally it.
You listen to music? Are you into...
Yeah, I like music, but
hip-hop? What's your style?
bit of dance is always good.
Yeah.
Bit of dance. I like a bit of dance, and I go to parties and things like that.
Yeah.
Restaurants, nice restaurants. I'm really into eating out actually, as you might have guessed.
Yeah, of course.
I've never actually cooked in my whole life, so I'm an eating out sort of person.
You will do. You meet the
You
right
haven't
person,
guessed, have you?
Ellen Spotty.
No, I was going to say, why change a habit of a lifetime? You just carry on talking, yeah?
Okay, there we are. tell us about this, Tony. You've taken that out of the oven.
Let me tell you what I did with these. I got a pan on very hot, put the tomato in, a little bit of olive
Lift
oil,
it up so the camera can get a shot.
little bit of sugar in there,
Yeah.
into the oven, started caramelising. Then I did some balsamic vinegar, a bit of garlic and some basil. We're just going to let that sit now. They're going to suck in all those lovely, lovely flavours, yeah?
That smells good.
That smells fantastic.
Yeah, and what about this?
Chicken's
That little
been
chicken,
marinated in a little bit of garlic, balsamic vinegar, basil. We're keeping that basil flowing through the whole thing here. And then we're just literally, very simply char grilling it there, get some nice marks in it. You can see the way the
And
basil...
don't move it too quick. You try to pull it then, you notice it was sticking, so just leave it, don't
Yeah,
you?
all right then.
If it starts to... Until it's black on the bar. No, it kind of releases the sugars, then it's easier to turn over. But you eat loads of different food travelling all over the world.
Yeah.
You like sushi and all that type of stuff?
I mean, sushi's not my best Japanese food, really. I mean, there's lots of other good things like teppanyaki and things like that. But, yeah, it's so interesting. I mean, going to all these different countries, you get to taste different things. I mean, beef burgers when you go to America. It's always a good one.
You can't wait for the old beef burgers, can't you? I'm going to let you get on with it now. Get a job for JB there.
Yeah.
Fantastic. How's it going, Les?
It's going, Murray is going
We're
great
going
guns.
extremely well here.
Oh, the parties are looking
Yeah,
fantastic.
aren't they?
Yeah.
And this is going to be absolutely dynamic when I've finished it.
No,
Got a bit
It's
of
easy, doesn't it?
chili
But it's
sauce.
not.
Have you ever wanted a different career, Murray? Have you just, or have
I've
you
had
the
a different
ultimate
career.
Oh,
I
yeah,
was in the
doing?
advertising business from 1947 until 1982.
Wow.
You know, of course, Ainsley, that PAL prolongs active life.
Yeah, is that
Miles
yours?
a day helps you work, rest and play.
Yeah.
There we are.
Trill makes budgies bounce with health.
Is that you?
An only budgie is a lonely budgie. You know that?
Yeah, that's all you, is it?
Well,
You came up with the
me
slogan.
and one or two friends, you know.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. And so what drew you away from all of that? You're obviously quite successful. 5 minutes to go, by the way.
Well, I was doing the broadcasting and the advertising together. Monday to Friday was for the advertising. And then on Friday evening, Elizabeth and I would get in the car and storm up to Wigan or Wakefield or Ripon or somewhere like that and do motocross, Saturday and Sunday, and then we'd come home on Sunday night, into the office on Monday, and away we went. And I think our record was 36 consecutive weekends.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you really did get around. Now, earlier on, I mentioned about, a couple of stories happening in the commentary boxes. You've had a few young visitors in your time, haven't you?
Well, I was doing the British Grand Prix one year.
Yeah.
And I was in full flow, and the adrenaline is coming out by the bucketful, as you can imagine.
Can you give us a taste of it?
And I was standing in the commentary box, and all of a sudden, this young child appeared alongside me, and I looked down, and I thought, what in heaven's name is a child doing there? And I complained to the producer afterwards, and he said, Prince William.
Oh, lovely. Bit of royalty. Les, is that reduced enough then?
Yeah, a little bit too
And
much.
he's a
Just put
great
a bit
fan,
of wine
I'm
in there.
told.
He loves the racing.
Yeah.
So he often goes to the meetings around the world and stuff like that, does he? When he gets the opportunity, of course, he's studying now.
That's right.
Let me just
How
help
you
Les
doing?
here, get these out. All right, doing
Oh,
really well.
thanks, Ames.
Doing really well. Now, what's next for you, Murray? Are you about to sort of go off?
Well,
on...
I'm writing the autobiography, which is going to take me until the end of March.
Yeah.
It's being published in mid-September, and then the publishers are sending me on a 51 consecutive days book signing.
Wow.
Then they're sending me to Australia, all round New Zealand, all round Tasmania.
Any saucy bits in there? You're going to reveal a few things to us?
Oh, one or two bits about you after today. But,
I can't wait, Murray. I can't wait. Let me get this out of
Murray,
the way for you.
don't touch that, because it's
Don't touch
boiling
which?
hot.
That one?
The handle of that,
Okay.
because it's
All
boiling,
right,
boiling
then.
hot.
Okay, 3 minutes to go, and that smell. Can you smell that smell
doesn't
that's come
time
off
fly
that?
when you're enjoying yourself, eh?
Always,
It's amazing.
always. Yeah, he's loving it next to you, Les. She's a lovely girl, though, isn't she, Mary?
Doing well.
Yeah, she's doing particularly well. Fantastic. Now, what about your favourite of all time? Favourite racing driver? Have you got any?
My favourite racing driver is a chap most people here will never have heard of, a chap called Tazio Nuvolari before the war, then Fangio, Senna, Prost, but Nigel Mansell, my mate Nigel Mansell. I've had more excitement, more drama, more happenings from Nigel Mansell than all the rest of them put together.
Yeah.
And Damon Hill, of course.
Yeah.
1996, won the World Championship. I've got to stop now because I got a lump in my throat, I said, and it was absolutely true because I had. I've been watching him all his career. Oh.
I know. That's nice.
Your day will come.
Of course it will. Of course it. And what about the OBE? What was that like? Was that a special day for you?
Yeah, it was very special indeed because you go to Buckingham Palace and you're briefed by a high
2 minutes.
up officer, and he says, if the Queen speaks to you, you say Your Majesty when you answer the first question, and then afterwards you say ma'am, he said, and it is ma'am as in jam and not ma'am as in jam.
You never forgot it, though, did you?
No, I didn't forget it.
Did you slip up or not?
And he said, when Her Majesty holds out her hand,
Yes.
he said, you get on your bike and go. And we did.
Really?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
that was the end of it?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
fantastic. Lovely.
Thanks.
Okay, your eggs are getting a bit well done
All
under
right,
there, Les.
darling.
All right,
Thanks,
fabulous
How are we
food
doing
there,
with
ladies and
sauce,
gentlemen.
Lesley?
Both sides. Look at it. It's all coming alive. Tony's showing you how you can
some
spiral
nice
the spaghetti
basil.
there to really make it look attractive on the plate. Onion barges,
Pick up a couple of
rice.
basil leaves and sit on top of the
now.
mozzarella.
What about, you've got some wine there, haven't you, JB?
Oh, yes.
JB's very excited. He's really fired up. Everything's going well. The tomatoes are coming out now. Look at that.
How we do
Hey,
what?
this is like going to a restaurant,
This
this
is
isn't it?
fantastic.
Hey, 1 minute to go. I don't need to tell you. This really is moving along.
On top of the
Absolutely
mozzarella.
Can you get me
fantastic.
some coriander?
Which is that?
You see the way
Look at that.
the cling film doesn't melt because you've wrapped it in foil,
Oh,
and it
hang on a
steams
second,
as it
darling.
bakes as it, and then inside this we've got the gooey mozzarella.
Yeah.
But I'm going to sit it on top. I'm just going to trim the ends off. I'm going to sit it on top of that little bruschetta that I've done there. A little bit of
Fantastic.
bread there. So
Very
you
good at
just whack it in there.
presentation.
Look,
Look at that.
look at that. Inside there we've got the mozzarella and we've got the lovely rocket that I put in there.
Oh, 30 seconds to go. Do you get food like this in Monaco where you live?
No, of course I don't.
No?
Fantastic.
Yeah. The best. Oh, you go out for burgers, don't you? Okay, I don't need to tell you about 20 seconds now.
Right,
guys.
we need a
Look at
lime.
this food, ladies
We
and
need
gentlemen.
a
These
lime.
guys have really excelled themselves. Lovely food.
Here we are.
Need
Just
to
help
get
me
a
count
lime
down now,
fresh one.
audience.
Cut it in
10,
half, Murray.
9,
In
8,
half, in
7,
half.
6,
Fresh one.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Stop cooking! Well. Ladies and gentlemen, if you went to a restaurant, you'd be absolutely delighted with the food that's put in front of you. It looked like this. Just, doesn't it stunning?
It's absolutely sensational how Lesley has been able to produce anything as glamorous and as varied and I'm sure tasteful as
Yes.
this is beyond my understanding.
Oh, well, you've got to try it. What are you going to call this, then? Have you got a name for it, you guys?
Ainsley, I've done my last commentary and I want to call this, I want to dedicate it to Lesley and say it is the last masterpiece.
Oh, that's lovely. That's fantastic. Well done. Will you tuck in? Tuck
Yeah,
in.
I sure
please
will.
do. And I've got to say now, Murray brought you along salmon fillet, rice, peas, onion and carrots. What did you do with it, Les?
Well, the onion Murray sliced up for me, and we mixed it with curry powder, salt and pepper, self-raising flour, a couple of eggs and some cold water, and then we deep fried them. Yeah, they were our barges.
Sure.
This is the hangover. Cut right in there, Murray, so you get some yolk.
Into the egg.
Yeah, into the egg. And this is sort of like chilled eggs with orange and cardamom rice, which has been baked in the oven with lots of butter. And I tell you what, if you've got a hangover,
Wow,
that
you are right.
sorts you out, vegetarian style, without the bacon.
Okay.
And then here, we marinated the salmon in lime and also some paprika, griddled it, and then we made a sort of pea broth with chilies and lime, coriander and herbs, and just sat it on the top.
Wasn't easy
And
either, was it?
also here, we've made a carrot raita, because often you have just mint or cucumber raita, but it's a great carrot with yoghurt and mint. It makes a lovely raita.
Absolutely, and it tones that down. It keets that a little bit
This
cool,
is
doesn't it?
sensational.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, thanks. My shirt enjoyed that too, Mary. You want some rice back, right? You're quite happy, you're delighted with it, are you?
It's sensational. I really can't say more than that.
Fantastic. Well done, and well done to you too, Les.
Thanks,
Fabulous,
darling.
fabulous food. Well, the old master's happy there, isn't he,
Oh,
JB?
yeah, he is, isn't he?
He's looking good, but you're about to be equally turned on with this culinary delight in front of you. So you get stuck in. What are you going to call this then, Tone?
Well, we've got two names.
Well, the Murray name, if he was on the side of the table, would be It's Go, Go, Go!
But I'm going to call it rocket fuel for a winning formula.
Oh, lovely play of words. Beautiful, isn't that lovely? Okay. Now, JB brought along chicken breast, rocket, tomatoes, linguine pasta, and mozzarella. What did you do with it?
We took the rocket and we made it into like a pesto. So instead of using basil, we used the rocket. We used a little bit of garlic, olive oil. We put some lemon and lime zest in there, and we blitzed that up. We cooked the linguine. We mixed that with it. I roasted off the tomatoes with a little bit of olive oil and sugar, caster sugar. Put them in the oven till it started to caramelise. Added a little bit of garlic, balsamic vinegar, olive oil, and basil, then I chopped some of those up and put it into the pasta as well. So it's got mozzarella and all those flavoured tomatoes in there. This one, we opened up the chicken breast, put a little bit of mozzarella rocket in there, wrapped up in cling film foil, put it in the oven to roast. Again, we got the tomatoes on there. We took some of the rocket pesto, thinned it down with some olive oil to make a dressing. And then this one, this breast we marinated in balsamic syrup, bit of garlic, bit of olive oil, char grilled that, and then we roasted off the mozzarella in the pan.
I know, just look at that lovely glaze on top for those people who normally you've got a little bit of a firmer cheese. But
And the old leaves look great.
I know, they look
fabulous.
Spectacular. But hey, you've had a bit of a try of everything. What's your verdict?
It's fantastic.
Is it?
Seriously.
Yeah?
I mean, I'm definitely coming to your restaurant.
Fantastic.
I'm there.
That's what it likes. Well done to both of you. Hey, this is a tough one for our audience, isn't it, ladies and gentlemen? But who will it be? Will it be Murray and, of course, Lesley in the green pepper kitchen, or over here in the tomato kitchen, is it going to be JB and, of course, the wonderful Tony Tobes? Well, let's find out. Audience, will you all please vote now? Oh, well, I said it was close, but it appears there's one or two more green peppers! Give her a kiss then, give her a cuddle. Oh, wonderful. Oh, lovely. Oh, well, Murray, that was fantastic. Yeah, you can kiss and cuddle in a minute. Who wants to get in there? Go on then. What are you like?
My last one, a winner.
I know, fantastic. And there's £1,000 to your favourite charity, which is?
It's a charity called Ben, Ainsley, and it is the motor industry. Anybody who's associated with the motor industry can get to go to the Ben homes if they're old and get treatment, and it's a great motor industry oriented charity.
Lovely to see you. Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you very much. Well done to you too. Hey! I tell you what then, and you too, Tone.
Listen, I think there's one person I would never mind losing to, and that's Murray Walker.
I know. He's kind of, he's like our dad, really, isn't it? We all love Murray, and you do too, and of course your father does, but we're not going to send you home empty-handed. Oh, no, you can take this back to Monaco with you. Our celebrity ready, steady cook clock, that will look wonderful, wouldn't it?
It's going to look great on the wall.
All right, it will look fantastic on the wall. And thank you so much
Thank
for coming
you.
on. Good luck for next season,
Thank
man.
you.
And go on, break a leg. Do it, Chris. Hey, Jenson Button and Murray Walker, of course. Well done, Tone. Thank you. And thank you for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you've enjoyed it, and do join us again soon for more culinary delights. Take care. Bye.
Selling hot dogs to the hikers, Wesley unveils his turbo grill in Last of the Summer Wine tonight, 6:25. We're on BBC One.
"24 hours a day,
Father and son have vowed never to lose touch again.
as it breaks,
Mike Tyson has been refused permission to renew his licence.
whenever it breaks."
Gale force winds sweep across parts of Britain.
BBC News 24, the digital TV channel for breaking news.
The news now on BBC One with Peter Sissons.
Now Blair says it. It's reformers versus wreckers in the public services. He takes on the Tories and the unions over spending and change. A powerful earthquake hits western Turkey. Scores are killed or injured. And Heskey scores twice at Leeds as Liverpool relaunch their title challenge. Good evening. The government's battle to improve Britain's public services is now officially reformers versus wreckers. The phrase, first used by the Transport Secretary yesterday, was taken up by Tony Blair today in a keynote speech to Labour's spring conference in Cardiff. Trade unions took the wreckers' remark as a swipe at their opposition to involving private firms in public services. But Downing Street said Mr Blair was referring to the Tories. From Cardiff, our political correspondent John Pinar reports.
This was no tame Labour rally. There were protest signs for anyone who wanted one. To the big unions, public services means just that, with little or no place for the private sector. That's not how Tony Blair sees it. To him, reform was the only way to see off the Tories, who were trying to talk down public services and hoping to make people pay for them in the end.
Our strategy is to build up these public services. Theirs is to knock them down. That is the battle for this Parliament. Reformers versus wreckers. That is the battle for this Parliament, and it is the battle that we must win.
But like other Labour leaders before him, he had critics on his own side. He didn't name the unions, but that's who he meant when he promised to fight those opposed to change.
Just as we must take on and defeat the big C Conservatives who want to undermine public services and wreck them, so we must defeat in argument the small C Conservatives who believe the old ways will do and who resist reform.
He was treading a fine line, avoiding crude union bashing, but sending a clear warning that he'd take on all comers if he had to.
We'll still have the attacks from the right and from the far left. And what we've got to do is to hold firm to the position we're in.
Tony Blair's still a leader in command of his party. The hall rose, but a few protest signs rose even higher. The leader of the biggest public service union had a bone to pick with Mr. Blair.
The Prime Minister today talks about using the private sector where it makes sense, where it's value for money, and where the staff are not affected by it. And we're saying very, very strongly, and it's based on evidence, not dogma, that it doesn't make sense, that it is not value for money, and the staff are being affected by these changes.
After a speech billed as identifying dividing lines between the parties, Labour's own divisions were clear to see.
I think they're right to raise the concerns over the difficulties there are with the use of the private sector in privatising really public services.
I do think there's got to be private involvement as well, because the amount of finance that we need to go in is so vast that we can't do it all through taxation.
Tony Blair took on a lot when he promised to fix public services. Judging by his speech today, he knows what he's up against.
And John joins us now from Cardiff. John, taking on the wreckers is the language of confrontation. Is this a moment of truth for New Labour? Another Clause 4 type conflict?
Well, this is a row that refuses to be suppressed. Now, clearly, many members in the party would like to see this argument take place more discreetly, in private. But after the sort of squabbling that we've been seeing this weekend between unions and ministers, that's not going to happen. Both sides are getting ready for a fight. And that fight looks like straining the coalition of new and old Labour more than at any time in the past.
Is there a danger in raising expectations about the public services that sometime he's got to tell the people he needs more of their money?
That's so. The Prime Minister spent a lot of ammunition on the Conservatives today, but I think people outside are more worried about their own expectations of public services. They're not weighing the government against the Tories, they're weighing the government against those expectations. That's the battle the government has to win. And as if that's not enough, they'll have to convince the public, if not in the coming budget, then certainly next year, that the only way to bring about better public services is through higher tax.
Thank you. Plans enabling non-violent criminals to carry on working during their prison sentences are being drawn up by the Home Secretary David Blunkett. Under the proposals, offenders would go to work wearing electronic tags and spend evenings and weekends in custody. Margaret Gilmore reports.
Sandra Gregory served 3 years in UK jails for drug offences. She says David Blunkett's plans will reduce the rapidly rising prison population by allowing offenders to stay with their families and be rehabilitated within the community.
Locking them up for however long it is, I don't think in the long run that actually serves a constructive purpose. But it's very refreshing to hear this from the Home Secretary himself.
We have the second highest prison population in Europe, yet it doesn't work. Most who go in, come out and re-offend. Way out of date and overcrowded, that's the Home Secretary's view. He plans a two-pronged attack. Tougher sentences for dangerous criminals, part-time prison for others who'd wear electronic tags, keep their jobs and go to prison at night or weekends. Those working with prisoners give a cautious welcome.
Two caveats. One is that they need to be an alternative to prison and not in addition to prison. And secondly, that there is an urgent problem at the moment, including the number of severely mentally ill people who are in our prisons.
The Tories are critical of the lack of detail. How the new plans square with increasing jail terms for mobile phone thieves, for example, isn't clear. But research does show if prisoners can keep their jobs and families, they're less likely to reoffend.
Putting part-time prisoners in prisons at weekends on top of full-time prisoners wouldn't work, but hostel-type establishments from which prisoners could go out to work or training and maintain more family contact would reduce crime on release.
These are radical ideas from the Home Secretary, and he may be criticised for promoting a softer option. But drastic action is needed to reduce the prison population and to cut crime. Margaret Gilmore, BBC News, Wormwood Scrubs.
A powerful earthquake measuring 6 on the Richter scale has rocked western Turkey, killing at least 30 people and injuring more than 100 others. The province of Afyon was the worst hit, and rescuers in the town of Balbadin are still searching for survivors who may be trapped under collapsed buildings.
Using diggers and their bare hands, rescuers sift through the rubble, looking for bodies, hoping they may still find survivors. The earthquake struck the province of Afyon early this morning, its epicenter in the town of Balbadin, around 300 kilometers from the capital Ankara. At least 35 people have died. The authorities expect that figure to rise as more remote areas are searched. The quake is far smaller than those that devastated parts of northwestern Turkey in 1999, killing almost 20,000 people. But mindful of the criticism it received then for acting too slowly, the Turkish government has promised whatever help is needed. The Prime Minister, Bülent Ecevit, visited the worst affected areas this afternoon. He warned that there could be further tremors and urged residents not to go back to damaged houses. Relief supplies, including tents for those who've lost their homes, have already been sent. There have been at least 8 aftershocks, and the rescue operation continues amidst fears that there could be more to come. Daniel Bircher, BBC News.
The 5th Briton held by the United States on suspicion of fighting for the Taliban has been named. 35-year-old Jamal Uddin from Manchester is being detained by US forces in Kandahar. Meanwhile, new pictures have emerged of al-Qaeda prisoners being held at Camp X-Ray on Cuba. The camp's commander has admitted they're not being held according to the terms of the Geneva Convention, but says they are being questioned in line with US law. British Airways is set to announce plans to re-enter the budget airline market. BA's board has approved a major shake-up of the company after being hit by the slump in demand following September the 11th. The airline's expected to announce further heavy losses tomorrow.
Just 8 months after this airline, Go, was sold off by British Airways because it no longer wanted to be in the no-frills travel business, BA is about to do a U-turn and take on the low-cost carriers at their own game. From its Gatwick base, BA is planning a clutch of new, cut-price, short-haul services to challenge the likes of EasyJet and Ryanair. Tomorrow, BA's boss Rod Eddington will reveal why such drastic action is needed. The company's third-quarter losses are expected to be about £200 million. Desperate to stem this hemorrhaging of cash, BA is preparing to cull many unprofitable routes, shed thousands of staff and slash economy-class prices.
Yeah. Tim Goodings from England?
Tim? BA's new advertising campaign is aimed at shoring up the part of its business that used to be the most profitable, premium fare services. Since the terrorist attacks of September the 11th, many business travellers have simply decided to stay at home. But success in the airline world is not just about adjusting prices. Costs also have to be cut, and rivals doubt that BA can do it.
The low-cost airline market is incredibly cutthroat. You've already got 4 airlines currently existing. British Midland have just entered the fray. By British Airways going back into the market, I think it demonstrates a confused strategy. You don't get to low cost simply by taking food off the aircraft. It's much more complex than that.
If BA is to recover, the company has got to make up its mind over what kind of business it wants to be. All too often it's chopped and changed strategy, such as when it ditched the Union flag from its tail fins, only to repaint them again. The airline will be hoping that going back into no-frill services will prove more successful than that woeful episode. Jeff Randall, BBC News.
The Queen has told well-wishers that her mother is progressing well, despite being ill for quite some time. Speaking after attending church at Sandringham, she said the Queen Mother was coming along. The Queen Mother was last seen in public in November. A salvage team has braved mountainous seas to be winched on board a 6,000-ton cargo ship which has run aground in Cornwall. The ship, which was loaded with timber, ran into trouble in the English Channel yesterday. The ship's 16 crew members were winched aboard a rescue helicopter after it began to list heavily. 25 families have had to be moved from their homes today after torrential rain caused 2 landslides in mid-Wales. Dozens of flood warnings are in force across the UK, and forecasters say more bad weather is on the way. John McIntyre reports from the mid-Wales town of Crickhowell.
It's easier to see why the power of a swollen River Usk can have such a controlling effect on this small mountain town. After bursting its banks on Friday, Crickhowell was temporarily cut off from the outside world. Now properties that were submerged by the worst flooding here in years, especially the local pub, are being dried out. Damage will run into thousands of pounds. There's also the loss of business, and all this hard on the heels of another crisis.
We've just come out of the foot-to-mouth crisis, which affected us very badly. Looking forward to a good year, and this will knock us back sort of 6-7 weeks to get us all up and running again and get back to some normality.
Heavy rainfall that led to the flooding also caused 2 sizable landslips, the most serious in the well-known walking area of Clydach Gorge near Abergavenny, blocking a large section of the main road across the Brecon Beacons and forcing a handful of families to leave their homes as a precaution. Improved weather conditions today have helped considerably, but more rain is forecast.
While the River Usk continues to run so fast and so high, it's not surprising that the people of Crickhowell remain on tenterhooks. But despite the fact that the Environment Agency still has a number of flood warnings in operation, it is hopeful that the worst is over.
Crickhowell is opening up again, but as so often is the case, there are always those who seem eager to take advantage of extreme weather conditions. John McIntyre, BBC News, Crickhowell, Mid Wales.
Residents at Castleford in West Yorkshire have been warned to stay indoors after a warehouse fire released fumes that could be toxic. Police have closed off the area and more than 80 firefighters are tackling the blaze. An investigation into the cause of the fire has been launched. The nuclear submarine HMS Vanguard has arrived at Devonport Dockyard in Plymouth, where she'll undergo a refit. A huge security operation was mounted as hundreds of people gathered to catch a rare glimpse of the vessel. She is the first of her type to be refitted. Thousands of would-be pop stars have turned up for an audition in South London to join the pop band Hearsay. The band are trying to find a replacement for Kim Marsh. The young hopefuls started queuing early this morning. The winner will be announced tomorrow evening. British holidaymakers are being urged to book early to avoid missing out on their favourite destinations this summer. Travel companies have cut capacity and withdrawn more than 1 million holidays in response to a downturn in demand following September the 11th.
Tunisia is working hard to attract visitors. Exhibiting at a travel show this weekend, it says demand for holidays to the country has recovered after last autumn's slide. Other destinations are finding the same. After September the 11th, holiday bookings fell by around 40%. Afraid of being left with packages it couldn't sell, the industry cut capacity for this summer by around 10%. But now it's forecast that bookings this year will only be down by 5%. The holiday companies are warning there could be a shortage of packages to the most popular destinations this summer. They say people who want to go to places like Spain, Portugal and Greece need to book early to avoid being disappointed.
We're not trying to frighten anybody. If you want to go on holiday, you will be able to go on holiday. It's a matter of when and where you want to go on holiday, and your choice may well be limited.
The holiday industry tries every year to encourage early booking. This travel writer says there's more justification for it than usual, but he doesn't think holidaymakers need to worry.
As a consumer, I really wouldn't be panicked into thinking, gosh, I've got to rush down to the travel agent first thing tomorrow morning and book a holiday. I think there'll be plenty around for many months to come.
But everyone agrees if travellers can't be flexible about when and where they go, they may already be too late. Karen Hoggan, BBC News.
Now the football, and in the FA Barclaycard Premiership, Liverpool maintained their title challenge with a 4-0 victory at rivals Leeds. Emile Heskey scored 2 of the goals. Liverpool are now just 2 points behind the leaders, Manchester United. Elsewhere, Middlesbrough are drawing 0-0 at home to Charlton.
In a game that featured 2 teams with genuine title aspirations, it was a poor start for Leeds that gave the advantage and first goal to Liverpool, as Rio Ferdinand's hesitancy resulted in a messy own goal. It stayed that way until midway through the second half, when that most goal-shy of strikers this season, Emile Heskey, broke clear of the Leeds defence to slot number 2. But no doubting the third as Heskey buried a volley from 6 yards to score only his 5th Premiership goal of the season. And with Michael Owen heading the fourth, Liverpool go to within 2 points of the top of the table.
Liverpool's joy is complete.
Elsewhere, it's been a quiet first half between Middlesbrough and Charlton at the Riverside, although some slack marking by the Charlton defence allowed a diving header from Noel Whelan. At the other end, Chris Mark Williams was on target with his long-range shot, but that was easily held by Mark Crossley in the Borough goal. The half-time score is 0-0. Francis Collins, BBC News.
Rugby Union and Ireland have beaten Wales by 54 points to 10 in their opening match of the Six Nations tournament. Ireland outscored Wales by 6 tries to 1. Substitute Ronan O'Gara completing the victory, which puts Ireland at the top of the table. And England's cricketers have won their latest one-day match against India in Mumbai by 5 runs. Defending a total of 255, England dismissed their opponents for 250. It means the 6-match series is drawn. And a reminder of the main news so far today. The Prime Minister says the government will push through radical reforms in public services. He takes on the Tories and the unions over spending and change. And a powerful earthquake has hit western Turkey. Scores are killed or injured. That's it for now. There'll be more from the newsroom at 10 o'clock on BBC One, and there are news updates throughout the evening over on BBC News 24.
Hello there, it's been a very busy weather day today. The worst of the snow has cleared away from Northern Ireland. We've still got some rain, sleet and snow in Scotland to clear, and it's turning wetter across the southeast, and in between, gusts of wind at the moment 50 or 60 miles an hour, but it will turn quieter overnight. The wetter weather clearing eventually from the southeast after midnight, and those winds do ease down. That means it will turn much, much colder, particularly for Scotland and for Northern Ireland. Black ice could be a particular problem here, following on from the earlier wet weather, and we could actually see a touch of ground frost as far south as possibly the Midlands. And then it's back to square one for tomorrow. More wet and windy weather whistling in from the west across the whole of the UK, particularly wet across some of those western hills. An inch of rain or more, bringing with it the possibility of some localised flooding once again. It'll start off bright and cheery across eastern parts of England and Scotland. Some sunshine, make the most of it. The cloud, the rain rolling in across western areas by lunchtime, and then sweeping across us all during the afternoon. So a miserable day, wet, very windy as well, strong to gale force winds accompanying that wet weather. These are the temperatures, technically mild, but largely irrelevant. This is the reason for the wet weather tomorrow. It does clear away during tomorrow night, and then we've got a run of southwesterly winds. They're going to bring sunshine and showers. Most of the showers in the west are heavy, possibly thundery as well. Brighter weather towards the east, and then by the middle of the week, briefly colder thanks to a northwesterly wind. See you later.
This is the doctor who questioned the safety of MMR.
When the parents said to us, I think this started after the MMR vaccine, we were obliged to investigate that.
The government is convinced he's wrong.
The vaccine is safe. There are no grounds for suspecting that MMR vaccine causes autism.
The facts and fears surrounding MMR.
We're talking about kids' lives here.
Panorama, exposing the truth. Tonight at 10:15 on BBC One.
And you can join the live MMR debate immediately after the programme tonight. Send your questions to the experts via the website at bbc.co.uk/panorama, or digital satellite viewers can go interactive by pressing their red button or going to the text service via BBCi. Now on BBC One, BBC London News with Mike Ramsden.
Good evening from BBC London News. A hospital in East London has begun an internal inquiry after it was claimed that parts of the building were in a filthy condition. An undercover reporter who posed as a cleaner at the Royal London Hospital for a week said spills weren't mopped up, toilets weren't cleaned, and bags of clinical waste were not disposed of properly. The hospital says it's taking the allegations seriously and is investigating each claim point by point. A report is due before the Chief Executive's office tomorrow afternoon. BBC London has learned that the Department of Health has today issued guidelines saying that if a measles outbreak in South London becomes an epidemic, parents should take children for MMR jabs before they are a year old. But critics say the policy could be potentially harmful.
The alarm over measles in South London this weekend follows a drop in MMR vaccinations to only 60% in some boroughs. So far, there are only 3 confirmed cases, but a further 22 are suspected. Today, the Department of Health said it sought advice from the Joint Committee on Vaccines and Immunisation about what to do if there's an epidemic. The advice is to reduce the age at which children are vaccinated to under 12 months and to have 2 further doses of MMR. But it's bad advice, according to doctors and politicians.
It's not effective under 1 year, one reason. Number 2, we already have tens of thousands of parents who are concerned about the MMR, who are concerned about it giving them over 12 months. They're not going to give it to their children under 12 months.
One of the problems is the lack of parental confidence in the MMR, rightly or wrongly, and so to try to deal with it with the same weapons seems to me utterly pointless.
So as more and more parents in London shun MMR vaccinations for their children, the government's coming under pressure to launch a campaign to encourage single jabs as an alternative. John Craig, BBC London News, Westminster.
The actor who played Stephen Lawrence in a documentary about his death has been attacked by a gang in North London. Leon Black was taken to the Whittington Hospital with stab wounds after an incident outside a pub in Islington on Friday night. It's alleged he was also racially abused. Stephen Lawrence died after he was stabbed at a bus stop in Eltham in 1993. Hundreds of worshippers gathered in Battersea this afternoon to celebrate the return of one of Ethiopia's most precious holy artefacts. The Tabot is a representation of the Ark of the Covenant and is a centrepiece in every Ethiopian Orthodox church. However, dozens were taken from the country by the British in 1868, and religious leaders have been trying to get them back ever since.
Genuine joy amongst the Christian congregation of St Philip's Church in Battersea. It spoke volumes about the importance of the return of this religious artefact to the Ethiopian Orthodox Church.
So the Tabot has got the commandment of God. And we believe in Christ, we are Christians. We also believe in the commandment of God, so it's part of it.
In fact, there were 2 tabots in the church, one belonging to St Philip's and the newly discovered one, which was looted by the British Army after the war in Ethiopia 134 years ago. Each was carried on the head of a priest under a cloth. Tabots are small pieces of wood which represent the Ark of the Covenant. Christians believe the original Ark held the 10 Commandments. Now that one tabot has been recovered, Ethiopian Christians hope that others in the British Museum will be returned.
The British people, being mostly Christians, we hope they will come to their senses and give them back to us in the right time, right now.
Ethiopian Christians liken their campaign to that of the Greeks, who want the Elgin marbles returned. Paul Curran, BBC London News.
Yes, the fight goes on. The latest score in the Charlton-Middlesbrough match is 0-0, and you can catch up with the game on BBC London 94.9 FM right now. We're back tomorrow during breakfast. Until then, goodbye.
Savage, scary, man-eating ape monster.
Don't know why we've got a reputation for scary. Fact is, I'm just not very good at scary. I'm a regular kind of lowland gorilla. Average hairiness, I work out, well, kind of. Hobbies include a bit of chest beating and sliding down trees. I love that. And I'm anyone's for a back rub.
Giant killer beast.
Oh, give it a rest.
Unique footage reveals the lowland gorilla to be a gentle beast. Gorillas on the trail of King Kong tonight at 8:10 on BBC One.
Songs of Praise now on BBC One with Diane Louise Jordan.